Welcome to Being at Home with George. I'm very excited to be here today, and I want to begin the way we always begin by saying yes, by embracing the moment. Whatever's in the moment, we embrace it, we say yes to it, and at the same time, we generate hope. And it just so happens, I've been on the road for the last several weeks. I'm in the middle of teaching the Mindful Athlete course online, and we're just entering class four. Class four assignment has to do with what we call right effort. One way to think about right effort is this idea of being able to abandon unwholesome or unhelpful mind states, unhelpful thoughts or emotions. And so the idea is one of the right efforts is when one of these unwholesome mind states or emotions or thoughts arise, how to abandon them, how to let them go. And so when you think about what's unhelpful, what's unwholesome, we have this idea of hindrances. And the hindrances are these things that hinder our ability to see clearly and to be in the moment. And so the hindrances are greed, ill will, what we call sloth and torpor or sluggishness, worry and restlessness, and doubt. And so the idea is when we talk about this, when we talk about how to abandon these mind states or these thoughts that are unhelpful, there's a variety of ways of working with them. So I want to talk about one in particular, which is the way to expel the hindrance involves a one-to-one relationship or alignment with the hindrance and its remedy. So when we think about greed, the opposite of greed is obviously renunciation or letting go, but also generosity. And if we reflect on the idea that things are impermanent and that if we cling to things, they don't last, that's helpful to do that. So when you talk about greed, what's the opposite of that? Whether it's generosity or renunciation, or just realizing that whatever arises passes away. So ill will, the opposite of ill will is obviously goodwill, which would include loving kindness, compassion, empathy. But if meditation of love and kindness is really a helpful way to deal with this. And one of the things we would wish is that may all beings be happy, be well, be peaceful, be loving, be free from suffering. And so we talk about greed, we talk about ill will, and the third one is dullness of mind or sluggishness. For some people, that might even be depression. But the idea is when we have dullness of mind, we make a special effort to arouse energy, to what we call applied thought, taking action, reflect on death, or persistent attitude. And so, main thing to do is just do the next thing, and you will have the power. It's this idea of just focusing on one thing and then staying locked into it. Be persistent with it. So you're applying what we call a continuous application of balanced energy. So even though it's a physical thing, it's actually about the energy that we're worried about. And then obviously one that we all encounter numerous times is this idea of worry and restlessness. So we turn the mind to a simple object of attention that tends to calm it down. In this case, we could focus on happiness or focus on what we want, or what I call focusing on the breath, awareness of breathing. Just by focusing on one thing, that's the antidote to restlessness and worry, because we're all over the place. We want to have that laser focus. So we just focus on the one thing, and it helps bring the energy together. And it's an antidote to worry, restlessness. Now, doubt, this is the one that gets so powerful that it can actually paralyze us where we don't want to do anything. So when doubt arises, this is when we bring investigation, inquiry, asking questions, study until the obscure points become clear. And so I've been taught when I started doing this process that doubt is a proximate cause of wisdom. Well, what does that mean? That means that because there's doubt there, there's an opportunity for us, especially when we have the growth mindset, when we're in love, when we have curiosity, we have interest, and when we've had the experience of learning and achieving, and then we develop this energizing enthusiasm that we're bringing this. And actually, one of the path factors of right effort is this idea to have enthusiasm so that we can get over lethargy, where we can actually rouse energy to actually do the thing. And we know from Emerson, I quote him all the time, do the thing and you will have the power. So the other thing to think about is this idea that effort creates energy. And I've had this experience multiple times. And if you run or if you do physical activity, you get to a point where you feel like you can't go anymore. But if you just ease through that barrier, you get a second wind. And William James said there could be as many as 13 second winds. So effort creates energy. So this whole idea of having this little conversation is about understanding that when an unwholesome mind state like worry and restlessness arises, we can actually turn the mind toward a simple object that tends to calm it down. And that would be the breath, awareness of breathing, or it could be focusing on a happy memory or something like that. But how do we shift the mind? We change the mind state. And so this is what I'm offering here, this idea of hindrances and how to abandon them. Just the opposite one-to-one relationship. If we have fear, then we have love. If we have greed, we have generosity or renunciation, letting go. Just to name a few.